What's happening in Amsterdam is the Netherlands went into a sudden lockdown on December 19th, with the government ordering the closure of all but essential stores, as well as restaurants, hairdressers, gyms, museums, and other public places until at least January 14th. They're not putting up with this shit. By the way, as we know, the Omicron, it presents as what? It presents as a cold. So you might get Omicron, you think you just have a cold, but it turns out you have an Omicron cold. And they're locking down because of the Omicron. Do you see what I'm saying? Okay. So they're not putting up with this shit. Here we are. Dutch police dispersed thousands protesting in Amsterdam against COVID lockdowns. Want to see it? Here's a little bit of it. That's a lot of people. That's all. Here's some more. Yeah, the cops are being cops.
The cops look like they're surrounded.
Yeah. The cops look like they're getting a little afraid for themselves. Well, they don't have guns. I don't think they have guns. So cops without guns, they're just a regular. They're just a guy, a bully with a stick, right, or with a club. And anybody could have a club. So, riot police with batons and shields broke up a crowd of several thousand who had gathered in Amsterdam on Sunday to protest against COVID-19 lockdown measures and vaccinations. Public gatherings of more than 2 people are prohibited. Jesus Christ. Under restrictions imposed by the Netherlands in an effort to prevent the Omicron. I got to remind you, the Omicron is much more mild than the Delta and the one before that. It's presenting as a cold. You get a scratchy throat, you get a cough, you get a headache, you get fatigue, and you sneeze and a runny nose. Sounds like a cold. It's not. It's an Omicron cold. And they're doing all this because of that. As Dr. Robert Malone said on the show, who just got banned from Twitter, that the virus is going to mutate, and it will most likely mutate to become more infectious and less deadly. And that's what we're seeing. And it's never going away. You got to remember that. This virus will never go away, but it has mutated now to be very mild. It appears to be very mild. So they've done this in the face of a very mild variation of the COVID-19 virus. This is what they're doing. So you get to decide whether that's an overreaction or not. The people in Amsterdam in those streets think so. It's already overwhelming an already strained healthcare system. Because we can't find one death from Omicron in the United States. Even though the news reported that there was a guy who died from Omicron in Texas, that was made up. That's a lie. Amsterdam Mayor Femke Halsema had issued an emergency ordinance empowering police to clear the Central Museum Square after the protesters defied a ban on public gatherings. The protesters, who mostly did not wear masks or abide by social distancing rules, ignored an order not to hold a march and walked along a main thoroughfare playing music and holding yellow umbrellas in a sign of opposition to government measures. So, that's the whole story, Kurt. That's the whole story. The people in Amsterdam have been ordered to lock down until January 14th, and thousands of them have taken to the streets to say no.
Do you think...
and the cops start beating them with clubs because they care about their health. Go ahead.
Do you think hospitals are clogged with, because people were so freaked, when you did the sad Christmas tweets with all the Omicron.
Right.
People wrapping themselves in plastic that are triple boosted.
Yeah.
People getting Omicron, going, oh my God, I'm going to die, and then going to an emergency. Because, one time I called 911 when I was younger because I drank a 5-hour energy and smoked too much weed, and I thought I was going to die. Like, I'm sure if people are that freaked out and they just think they have. It doesn't matter that it's mild. They're like, oh my God, I got to go to the emergency room. There's probably some clogging up of people that aren't in danger of dying that don't need to go, but they're very afraid because they just have it. Do you know what I mean?
That there are people going to the hospital who normally wouldn't. They would just stay home and deal with it. But because they've been told they have COVID, it scares the hell out of them, so they go. That's what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, man, I was in New York for so long. That's a real hypochondriac town on top of, and the way people are about, you know, you're just always paranoid about germs, even though you live in this filthy city. But I could just imagine, because that's got to be an urban area that I was looking at, right?
Yeah. That's Amsterdam, baby.
I've never been to Amsterdam, so
I can't wait to go.
I've been there, Keith, and it's one of my favorite. It was beautiful. I mean, it was just it's everything you think and more. It's great. I loved it. I really did. It's just you can't even, you know, some of the streets are so narrow, and yet a car's coming down. I'm like, where am I going to go? You have to like stand in a doorway so a car gets by.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why that would make it great, but it does.
that's an odd choice of selling point.
No, it's just that they just have such character. The buildings, they've been there for hundreds and hundreds of years.
Yeah, right. You know Tom Rhodes?
Yeah, he had his TV show there.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I remember when he was the big thing on Comedy Central. Remember that?
He had a joke a couple nights ago at the Comedy Store about, he goes, the women in the Netherlands, they're so beautiful in Amsterdam. I had to go and rest my eyes in England.
Hey, come see a live Jimmy Dore show. We're in Los Angeles, January 7th and 14th. Then we're in Raleigh, North Carolina, and Philadelphia. Go to jimmydorecomedy.com for a link for all tickets and become a premium member to get access to all our premium videos.